Anandorup in 6 months will be deciding what you and I will get as increments.
They're all used to the fact that I'll get a promotion every 2 years.
Anandorup is taking a swipe at all the millennials, not the millennials, the Gen Zs actually.
Not a fun.
Oh, we are 2 minutes in the episode and this is already sounding slightly ominous right now.
There is a flatlining of this whole pay increase thing. See, in India, we've been saying this, right? That if you have the right kind of technical skills today, the world is your oyster. India is your oyster.
India is the oyster.
Did you know India has the second largest discoverable AI population, AI trained population?
No, I didn't know that.
So US is first, India is second. And why do we say discoverable? Because Indians speak English and we are on LinkedIn.
It's time to just go update your resume and put the right words. So, search engine optimization. That's the key.
So far, it doesn't look like a fantastic story.
Oh gosh.
But the important thing is this, that everything has a cyclical nature, right?
Hello and welcome to the brand new episode of The Working Life. I'm Devina Sengupta and so far you've been listening to me, but from today you will see me interact and discuss with the HR heads of India Inc., the compensation experts of the corporate sector, and those who basically decide what kind of jobs you and I should do, the hikes that we get, and even heads of institutes who tell us whether the kind of profiles that the students are getting into will get them a work in the end or not. In today's episode, we have Anandorup Ghose, partner at India's one of the largest consulting firms, Deloitte. Now, that's not the only introduction of Anandorup. He actually sits with corporates across sectors and decides the kind of hikes that should be given, the bonuses that you and I will get, and where we stand in the bell curve. Anandorup in 6 months will be deciding what you and I will get as increments. So afterwards, you might like Anandorup or you might get really angry with him. We'll find out today. Thank you, Anandorup, and welcome to The Working Life.
I don't know, this was the most interesting welcome I've got because it's literally scary for me to think that all of your viewers are thinking I am deciding anything for them. I am just sharing numbers, that's all.
And it's numbers that the HR heads are listening to right now. But thank you, Anandorup. And how does this year look? We're already 6-7 months into this new fiscal. Companies are already plotting on their axes where we stand, where you stand. What does it look like?
Most of us, your viewers have obviously been looking at media reports that have been coming in about how different sectors have performed, right? So if you look at it, some of the more consumer-dependent sectors, let's say cars, two-wheelers, like FMCG consumer goods, there has been a little bit of a sketchy performance there. In some parts, it's been very good. For instance, two-wheelers has had a fantastic quarter.
Oh, good.
But passenger vehicles or commercial vehicles hasn't had that good a quarter.
Oh, so it could be iffy for those in the auto sector. So if you're in the two-wheeler segment, it looks to be a good year.
It's so far. There is still 6 months left in the year. Passenger vehicles, like I said, hasn't had a good quarter. There are a variety of reasons for why that's been the case. But then in consumer, you have seen a couple of results that have come out in the last in the last few days. Again, some companies have done quite well, but fundamentally, most companies that you see in consumer-dependent sectors, at least, have done well on profits more than on revenues.
Right.
Now, if you think about it, what it means is that your top line isn't growing, but you're saving costs better.
Right.
For all of us to think about it, that has a downstream impact because it means how do you save costs better? You save costs by optimizing on things like compensation, operating costs, manufacturing costs, etc., etc.
Right.
There will be a continuous trend to ensure that the cost numbers are not allowed to go up too much.
Oh, we are 2 minutes in the episode and this is already sounding slightly ominous right now.
Okay, let me put it differently.
More optimistically.
Yeah, perhaps. See, what's happening over the last, and I have said this earlier as well, if you take the last 20 years, break it up into buckets, the 2000 to 2010 was a period, 9 maybe, was a period when everybody got fantastic pay increases. Everything was booming because before the financial crisis, things were doing very well. People got 15, 18, 20, 25% increases. One reality. Then you entered the second phase when
Right.
some industries were doing very well, most were not. There were a lot of sunrise industries, so there was this growth. Then the third phase, when things started flattening down, there was a couple of shocks in the economy, and that resulted in things coming down. Then COVID happened. You had 1 year of very poor growth, and then 2 years of fantastic
Right.
growth, right? But what's happening now gradually is that, and this is a increasing trend across organizations, is that there is a flatlining of this whole pay increase thing. It's that 9, 10,
Right.
10.2, 9.3, 9.5. If you look at the last 10, 5, 7 years, it's been in that range broadly.
And that's how you expect it to happen going ahead? Estimate so far?
Absolutely.
Right. So therefore, I can't call it muted, but there aren't too many surprises right now.
Absolutely.
But interesting point that Anandorup made out here is, you mentioned that the companies are in a cost-efficient mode. Is this because they are not afraid of attrition right now? Because where will you go?
More than where will you go, I think it's that whole thing that, see, there'll always be some attrition, right? People
Right.
will keep going in.
Some attrition is
there'll
good
al-
also.
The big attrition happens when a new industry comes up or a new sector opens up or something very disruptive happens.
Right.
The last, and we all know, right? The last few years, there's nothing been massively disruptive around us.
Barring the startups few years ago.
Yeah, that has obviously lived its life now. So apart from that, there is nothing really big coming out right now. And because of that, there is no pressure on organizations to say we are losing people by droves who are moving out
Right.
somewhere else and so on.
No, which is where I wanted to ask you is, so when you mentioned that there is no new industry, could we go bit deeper and say, okay, there's no new industry, but there might be new interesting profiles. For example, you might be in the energy sector, but then if you are in the new energy, renewable sector, maybe if you're there, the hikes are going to be better.
See, in India, we've been saying this, right? That if you have the right kind of technical skills today, the world is your oyster. India is your oyster. If
India is the oyster.
you can go around different companies. You will always get better hikes, etc., etc. But we have to remember that's a very small population.
Right.
That the population that has those choices, those options, that demand, is not a very large group of people. If I can, statistic here. Did you know India has the second largest discoverable AI population, AI trained population?
No, I didn't know that.
So US is first, India is second. And why do we say discoverable? Because Indians speak English, and we are on LinkedIn.
Right.
So we have a large discoverable population where companies can identify that, okay, this is someone I can hire.
So for all of us, platforms like LinkedIn is not the only one. Platforms like that, it's time to just go update your resume, update the kind of profiles, the skill sets, and
put the right words there.
And put the right words. So search engine optimization. That's the key.
Not propagating lying at any point of time, but I'm saying put the right words if you have the right skills, and that kind of that gives you significant amount of opportunities to move around and get hikes.
So basically, the onus is on you on how you make your resume a bit more obvious or highlighted better than the millions others who are competing for the same profile. Now, Anandarup, you mentioned that hikes are going to be as in muted, 9.5, 9.7, just about meeting inflation or probably slightly more than that. How do you distinguish between the top performers, your high potentials, and the rest? Now, some companies are doing away with the bell curve. Last year, we saw that the companies were giving out higher promotions. Okay. The gap between those who are in the middle lot and those who are slightly more was quite high. Are we going to see something similar this year?
That's a trend that's going to continue into the future.
Right.
And that's primarily because, again, of the skill difference, right? Now, if I am someone who is arguably an AI researcher or something like that, I'm just making that up as a job, I will automatically be someone that my organization will be very keen to retain. And if I'm good at my job,
Right.
I'll be very keen to retain. And so I will always have the ability to command much higher pay increases than my peer who's doing a standard job.
Okay.
And if you look at the last, again, 10, 15 years, what's happened is that the standard job has the 9% increase. The best performer or the most or the high, the most in-demand job, so to speak, or the person who's doing that job has had increases as much as what the best increases were there in 2005 or 6.
Oh, so I, as an average performer, can get a 9% hike. You, as a better performer, can get 15, 16% hike,
22% hike.
22% hike.
I'm just making this up, but yeah,
Right.
significantly high.
Significantly high.
Yeah.
Are there, like you mentioned, auto sector is a mixed bag. Are there some sectors, and if you are watching and listening this episode, then it'll be interesting to know where you can stand right now. Are there sectors which really have not done well, or where the hikes are going to be really muted? For example, last year we had startups. IT was really low.
It's honestly, it's difficult to say. So I mean, it's still too soon to put that out there. But I think technology still has some time to come out of the slowdown that they have seen in the
Right.
last 2 years or so. So IT services companies are going to still not be able to afford larger hikes.
Right.
They never gave larger hikes. They were always in the 7-8% range at the best case.
But they made up with those bonuses, the
So
promotions.
all of that, and also I mean, IT companies, I mean, cost is their main employee
Right.
cost is the main thing, right? So they have different ways to manage that thing while optimizing. So again, IT companies will probably still have it a little difficult this year. Consumer companies, I'm not sure if then how the next 2 quarters are going to be. That will determine what. So far, it doesn't look like a fantastic story.
Oh gosh.
No, it's still 2 quarters to go.
I know,
Glass
but
is
two
half
quarters
full
is
or
a
half
good
empty.
enough. Now that's Anandorup for you. When he's plotting, it's going to be like glasses half full or half empty. But for the rest of us, it is slightly worrisome, right?
It's too soon.
Too soon.
See, other thing, look at it this way. Inflation is 5.5 in
Right.
September. This is a bit of an increase over the previous year. Good monsoon. So hopefully
Hopefully.
should come down. I mean, again, monsoon has been blamed both ways. Auto companies have said that monsoon has
Right.
resulted in lower deliveries.
You have the wars.
But yeah,
You
wars.
had the wars which have impacted the.
But wars haven't impact. I mean, think about Ukraine. Didn't impact us as much. With all humility, that we would have imagined Ukraine or Gaza or others would to have impacted oil prices a lot more than they
Right.
have so far.
Right. Right.
So far we are not seeing that as a shock, the 1970s shock or things like
Right.
that. It's not a shock yet. It's been more muted in its impact.
Which actually might be one of the reasons why companies are right now in a wait and watch. And for many of us actually who talk to the HR heads, this poor visibility is very worrying. Either you have clear visibility of where you stand, and you say, okay, you know what, it's going great guns, or you say it's not working out. This whole poor visibility means hikes are there, not there, promotion is there, not there, bonuses are there, but not really good. There's a kind of nervousness across sectors. Do you feel that when you're talking to the companies?
See, we are also a group of people who are very used to
The shocks.
growth. Right? We are very, for many people who've come into the workforce in the last 10, 12 years, they're all used to the fact that I'll get a
Right.
promotion every 2 years. If
Right.
not 2 years, then how can I even survive? I mean, I'm horrible if I'm not getting a promotion every 2 years. I have to get a 12, 13% pay increase. I have to be as good as my neighbor. And so,
Anandarup is taking a swipe at all the millennials, not the millennials, the Gen Zs actually.
no, I mean, I'm not, I'm not a far, I'm exactly, I'm to blame as well. I'm sure I feel exactly that same way. All of us do. I mean, it's,
Right.
as a society, we are a
That
society
a
that looks
35
upwards, right?
40% hike is but
हाँ,
mandatory when
like,
you're shifting jobs.
तो क्या हुआ?
तो क्या हुआ?
So I think so to that extent we are so used to the fact that we want more and more for ourselves
Right.
that when the last few years there has been a little bit of a break,
Right.
we're not responding very well to it.
Right.
But the important thing is this, that everything has a cyclical nature, right? So if we are going through a period of a bit of a slowdown in terms of our own personal
True.
wealth increase, perhaps, although stock markets are helping it to happen on the other side, it will come back.
It'll come back. Right. And also when it comes to bonuses, okay, hikes, yes, fine. We should get used to the new norm. It's been on for a few years now. But when it comes to bonuses, do we see the investor community, or let's say the markets, those who are in the bourses working, the brokerage firms, or do we see some of the sectors where the bonuses are going to be the usual 100, 115? Law firms, why not consulting companies? Are we going to see that?
It's the same thing, right? I mean, we're all going through the same cycle right now. Professional services firms or otherwise, Professional services firms, particularly, I mean, law is a different story, but professional services firms fundamentally are discretionary spending, right?
Right.
So we're not necessarily always um, like you don't have to hire us every morning to brush your teeth, right? So,
Right.
so we have that challenge with ourselves with regard to the fact that we will be hired only when a company has the money to spend on consulting and so on.
And that is getting constrained right now.
That will naturally have its impact. So because if the industry is not doing very well,
Right.
then you're not spending so much money on these kinds of things.
Right.
So coming back to I think the bigger question on bonuses is that bonuses are going to be range bound in the sense that 95 to 105 percent of target kind of a range.
Right.
Um, so if your target bonus is, let's say, 15% of your salary, you probably get 16 or you'll get 13, 17. It'll be in that
Right.
range.
So it pretty much looks to be a regular year. No much shocks, no much surprises.
Having said that, I'm wondering what's going to happen to the two kinds of people.
Oh gosh.
Investment bankers.
Don't say media.
No,
So investment bankers is one.
no, investment. I mean, think about it. The number of IPOs means investment bankers make more money,
Right.
right? And the number of IPOs that are happening every day, week,
Oh yes.
month. So I'm sure they're making a lot of money there, and that will translate into bonuses. Asset management companies.
Okay. Why do you say
They're
these
doing
two?
very. The stock market is doing well.
Right.
So anybody who makes money basis people trading on markets or
Right.
helping people trade on markets, etc., they're potentially doing very well right now.
So those who are in the investment banking profile, those who are asset managers, good times ahead, hopefully, for y'all, because it seems that the consulting heads are saying that y'all are doing well, the stock markets are doing well, the money of your clients is also making more money. So somewhere y'all should be rewarded very well. And my final question to you is, Anandorup, we discuss hikes, we discuss bonuses. Is there any other way companies can reward their employees? Considering these two are slightly constrained.
And I'm going to sound like an old man as I am turning out to be, but we have two things that we don't realize when you're in your 30s, 20s, and so on. One is that someday you will retire, and the money you make and save and the inflation that we have moves at broadly the same rate.
Right.
And most of us will live longer than earlier
yes.
generations. So you will have a longer life to pay for when you're not probably earning. So ways in which organizations can help people plan for retirement, plan for future beyond the working life is the name of your series, is going to be an important part of how you look at organizations and their compensation structures. The second thing is we don't realize the value of protection till we need it.
You mean medical insurance?
Insurance, like till COVID happened, the value of insurance
Absolutely.
or parental insurance or any of those things was a nice to have. People didn't look at that
True.
row in their offer letter or whatever. But now that COVID made people aware, and
True.
again now we are forgetting. It's human nature, right? It's not cash, so you're
Right.
forgetting the importance of. But those are the kinds of things that are going to be important for companies to do for employees, and employees to also start realizing that there is a fundamental value to it,
Right.
which we discount very heavily.
True. So this is interesting, right? And I have seen this also happen. Is that HR heads, CFOs, if you're watching and listening, which I'm sure y'all are, hikes matter, promotions matter, but also this extra step of medical insurance, of sitting with the employee and discussing, okay, where do you not just stand 2 years and 5 years in terms of your profile, but where do you see yourself many years later as a professional? Because you said people might retire, and actually some might not afford to retire.
Absolutely.
Because retirement is now related to your affordability.
It's a phenomenon in the West.
Right. You have to work till you are breathing,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. And on that note, Anandorup, thank you so much for being with us on the Working Life.
It's a very somber note to finish on, though.
Isn't it?
Till you're
okay.
breathing.
So no, but it wasn't, right? Because we also wanted to understand that what is a takeaway for the companies, and just the usual hikes and bonuses just don't seem to work anymore.
Absolutely. And hikes and bonuses are absolutely useful. It's here and now. It's today. You'll feel good about it.
Right.
But you also forget it. A hike or a bonus is something that makes you feel good till the next weekend. Right after that, it's forgotten.
Right.
And while that will always be the case, I think if you're able to put away for the future, I think that will matter a lot more.
Right. You see, our last question is never the last question. We have a question right after that. So now, thank you so much, Anandorup, for being with us on the Working Life.
Thank you very much for having me, and I hope this is a interesting new format for everybody who's watching or listening.
In our first episode of The Working Life in this format, Anandorup explained some very interesting details. He said that the hikes are not going to be sky high of 16%, 17% for most of us. But that doesn't mean we need to get disappointed, because we have to start looking at the next year more than just hikes and bonuses. Look at the kind of insurance you have, look at the kind of profile that the company is helping you build. And for the HR heads, for the CEOs, CFOs watching this episode, it's important that you sit with your employee, the high potentials, and make them understand that the hike is going to be short lived, and it's, as Anandarup says, momentary. But what's going to increase the stickiness is what do you bring to the table for them more than just the monetary value. I'm Devina Sengupta, and thank you for watching The Working Life.